Folks, thank you so much. Amazing to hear the challenges they have there in terms of trying to protect the home, the IoT, all the connected devices that are going to be ruling our lives. We won't have to make any decisions anymore. All these devices are going to make the decisions for us with the AI and the data that's feeding all of them. So this is the last conversation for the cyber track for here at the Playground stage. As I mentioned, if you're extremely passionate about this topic and you still want to see more, Alex Dahl from 1011 Ventures from Silicon Valley and Mikael Brumerman is from Microsoft, head of AI and cloud security, are having a fireside chat at 1:10, so right after the session on the arena stage. And then I do recommend you to go in and check out Julio Casal with Alberto Yepes at 1:30 on the arena stage, really talking about Alien Vault is a success story. It's been the largest tech exit out of the Spanish ecosystem to date, bought this summer by AT&T, and you can hear about their 10-year journey and how they made that happen, the ups and the downs and everything in between at 1:30 on the arena stage. But moving swiftly along to our next session. So we've talked about threats from cyber criminals, how they're increasingly innovating, how the attacks are becoming more and more sophisticated through technology and increased resources being put in. We've talked about AI in solutions and AI also in attacks and how that might help us better protect governments, organizations, individuals. We've had a look at blockchain, this whole new disruptive technology, and how it's going to play an impact on making enterprise applications more distributed and more secure. And now we've just looked at how to tackle the challenge of IoT security. So who has the job of putting all this together? Well, actually, it's very often the large enterprise. We're thrilled for the next panel to have 4 of Spain's most significant multinationals, head of security, their chief information and security officers with us today. These are the guys that probably don't get any more sleep because they're up all night thinking about the millions of ways that their organizations can be attacked and their customers' data at risk or unprotected, or even infrastructure or their technology or their operations. So these guys have a pretty difficult job, but no doubt it's pretty exciting nonetheless because they get to engage with a lot of the innovators in the ecosystem. And we're thrilled to have this panel moderated today by one of the pioneers from the cybersecurity industry globally, which is Alberto Yepes, who's managing partner and founder of ForgePoint Capital, a Silicon Valley VC firm with $300 million under management, probably the biggest firm in the world that's exclusively dedicated at cybersecurity investments. So we're thrilled to have him with us. We also have Alejandro Becerra, who's the Global Chief Information Security Officer from Telefónica. Big job, big hat, probably lots of sleepless nights for Alejandro, looking after and keeping secure one of the biggest telecommunications companies in the world and their millions and millions of customers. Agustin Gonzalez, who's the Chief Information Global Officer of Prosegur, one of the largest private security companies. Roman Ramirez, who's head of security ops and architecture at Ferrovial, one of the world's greatest infrastructure transportation companies. And Adolfo Hernandez, who's head of advanced cyber defense at Banco Sabadell, Spain's 5th largest bank. So big jobs, big tasks, and excited to hear their insights on how they're going to get cybersecurity adoption right for their organizations. Big round of applause, please, to the panel. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
¿Me siento allá?
¿Dónde queréis?
That's fine. All right, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alberto Yepes, and we have a great panel. You have a lot of practitioners. We've been talking a lot about cybersecurity, but where the rubber meets the road is when you have to protect large industries and large companies to actually defend not only their own information, but the ecosystem they live in. So let me start with Alejandro in Telefónica. You know, I know you're responsible for a lot of the security, internal security. Can you tell us a little bit about how do you structure and try to defend Telefónica? But let me give you an example that can ground everybody. WannaCry, you were one of the bigger actors in the global basis. It hit everybody, and you guys were attacked. So what happened, and how did it change the way Telefónica thought about investing in security and trying to defend not only the company, but its customers as well?
Yeah. I get that question quite often, I have to say.
Yep.
The point is, I cannot say that it was a radical change with WannaCry. Actually, the radical change happened before that, a couple of years before that. And as you know, we are a strong player in security. We do not just have security as a core principle for our own services, but also we offer self-security services to our end customers. I have to say that the push to really put security in the forefront of our guiding criteria for designing services or providing products to our customers happened before. What I can tell you is that WannaCry and the way we reacted to that in an open way, we tried to be open in that way, and I think that that was beneficial, not just for our partners, colleagues, other players in the industry, but also for ourselves in the sense that we transmitted that openness to the industry. That was very good in the sense that we could achieve a much better awareness. So even though the company had a very clear principles, it's always, and that's an inertia, momentum that you need to gain with middle management, with every employee, etc., to really understand what security is about and remove the hype and all those things that might be perhaps just fear, uncertainty, and that, and getting into the actual risk happening. So for us, we were prepared. I have to say that we were prepared. So the impact, we had no impact on services, on customers, etc. But there was no actual feeling, at least in the common base of employees, etc., that would actually happen. So when it happened, we were prepared to react. But it was the best wargaming exercise we could have ever had.
Yeah, talking about wargaming, Adolfo, you do some of that for the bank, right? The security has been moved from being a reactive initiative to being proactive, and so now you lead a group that is helping the bank be prepared for things like WannaCry. Can you explain more of that?
In fact, we actually do. We are stressing ourselves, let's say, in a daily basis, okay? As well, obviously, the bad guys.
No se oye. Mike? Is it off? On?
Hello?
Yeah.
Now?
No. We'll change the... Okay, great. This is even better.
Just a good playbook for incident response. Thank you.
That's right. There's always a backup plan. Don't worry.
Once again, yeah, of course, we actually do. We are stressing ourselves in terms of checking or whether our security controls in place are effective or not, okay? As well, we also have, obviously, the bad guys testing ourselves, given that, you know, having a global presence worldwide and pushing the company as well as the customers to the digital world, okay? That obviously have a lot of benefits, well known for every one of us, but at the same time, we are, let's say, more exposed, and obviously we need to keep an eye on that, both to protect our internal IT systems as well, obviously, our customers on that, okay? The game in terms of cyber attacks is obviously evolving, it's changing, okay? The way we understand security 2 years ago it has absolutely nothing to do with the way we understand the security at this moment, okay? We are talking about that fancy words such as intelligence, artificial intelligence, deep learning approaches, you know, all that kind of technology and services to touch the data, to take value of the data we have in place. And yeah, it's a huge challenge, to be honest.
Yeah. How do you Roman, there's an element of talent involved with all these, right? How do you get ready? How do you become more proactive? Can you speak to the big demand that we have in cybersecurity and the need to develop that?
Yeah. It's, in my opinion, is the core question about cybersecurity today, the talent, because you have to separate what do you consider security professionals apart from what you consider hackers. They are not the same, they are not the same careers, and they don't have exactly the same requirements for the jobs, okay? So it's very important to understand that the high demand on cybersecurity professionals, in my opinion, if there is a higher demand, it should be a better offer. So we have an essential problem. The root problem, in my opinion, is you pay less salary than companies that are based overseas. It's a huge problem because they are not a wall around your country. The people can be contacted from companies in UK, in USA, in Germany, in China, and wherever, you know. So it's very relevant in my opinion. You are in the startup market. If you want to retain talent and you want to acquire talent, you have to pay more to hackers and even to cybersecurity professionals. So please, you are changing rules and you are trying to find unicorns, please pay for unicorn riders, not for horse riders. Okay, so this is my idea.
Yeah. I think that it's a core problem for the industry worldwide. There's a huge demand and there's not enough supply. And I think Spain has been one of the countries that contribute a lot to the cybersecurity industry. You have VirusTotal, you have Panda Security, you have AlienBall, you have companies that have emerged, but eventually had to be successful outside of Spain before they actually were able to adopt it. I'll ask a couple of questions on that, but let's step back for a moment and let's talk about Agustin in Prosegur. You're not a CISO, you're a CIO,
Yeah.
and Prosegur is going through a huge digital transformation, right?
Yes, sir.
And then like the banks are going to, that drives cybersecurity. So can you talk about the challenges that you are experiencing? You're a very established company. You do business in so many countries, including China and everywhere else. So what is it, how do you drive the challenges and the opportunities that you have also as a provider of security, physical security, moving to cyber?
Okay, good question. Good morning, everybody. It's a real pleasure being here and sharing this roundtable. At Prosegur, our core business is security. Security, our operations, our customers, our employees. I am the IT leader there. So we have tremendous challenges in terms of technology deployment and also huge opportunities in terms of business, of Prosegur business. Starting with the challenge. It's true that, for example, digital transformation. Most of us are facing right now digital transformation. There is amazing technology that we are deploying right now that brings tremendous benefits, but there are also huge vulnerabilities, no? And huge risks that we are taking as an opportunity. In case of Prosegur, so we're deploying a lot of mobile applications to our customers, to our employees, to our task force. We are implementing a lot of information and sensors so that we can track where is our money, where is our people. All this information, so we can afford that the people get this information. So it's really important for us as IT leader to incorporate in our development cycles. We do a lot of development products and software. Start incorporating there kind of testing tools, vulnerability testing tools, testing tools, hacking ethical tools in the same development cycle. No? In our case, I'm talking to, as our business, when I say that we have also huge business opportunities, is because when we started our fourth line of business, that is cybersecurity, the idea that was 3 years ago is that these services, we are using these services for Prosegur as first client. So nowadays, more and more clients are demanding not only physical security, but also a complement to cybersecurity. So in there, we are start finding huge opportunity business for ourselves, and right now is one of our growing fastest business units in Prosegur. No?
That's great. You know, it's interesting that you bring up the physical security because you have a lot of cameras, you have to track that a lot of trucks moving the money.
Yeah.
You also provide security services to the home.
Yes.
You're doing a lot of exposure. But many of those are they're not necessarily IT devices, they're OT devices, operational technologies, and this is when people talk about IoT. So all of you are affected on how do you now begin defending, securing IoT, getting insights and context for IoT. So who do we want to get started? Ferrovia, you have a lot of, you know.
Yeah. We have IoT everywhere. In Heathrow, for example, in highways, we have a lot of devices. But at the end, in my opinion, you have to take a focus on what is security management over wherever the scenario or whichever the technology. You keep distance and you manage risk on IoT, OT, IT, or edge computing, fog, cloud, whatever. So it's a huge problem. because any of these devices that has vulnerabilities, you cannot perform a software update. You have to physically replace. And the huge question here, not only for Ferrovial or several other companies, but energy and power companies, is who pays? Will you pay more for me to replace the devices in your invoices every month? So it's a complex thing, but in my opinion, from the perspective of the security management, what is your focus is to manage risk. And you have to understand where the risk is, and you have to work on this. But the main concern, in my opinion, is for the future, is in this kind of devices. It's not OT, it's about mobile phones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is the threat today, and for banks, for Telefónica, for Ferrovial, for everyone.
So, Adolfo, any context on IoT devices? You have an ATM machine?
ATM machines.
You run data centers?
Point of sale.
Okay.
what we
So
call
are
in
you
Spanish
responsible for
TPU.
that? Are you evolving to do that?
We
How
are-
are you getting?
We are getting that kind of devices and technologies
course.
in our mainstream of security technology and security procedures and strategy, because at the end of the day, this is not about who manages what in terms of this is OT, this is OT department, this is IT, this is cybersecurity department. It's exactly the same.
Correct.
We are providing them to both customers and also the other areas in the bank. So obviously it's paramount for us because it's in terms of a banking industry, the bad guys they're always focusing on obviously on the financial industry, which is quite obvious. Maybe it's not maybe the easiest way, but obviously we are sexy for them to monetize the attack, obviously.
Yeah.
So this is the more the better in terms
Yeah, and also
of
the
having all
attack-
the items in the same bag. You know
The
what I mean?
attack vector is becoming bigger,
Yeah.
and you have to deal with different vulnerabilities
That's
and all
the
that.
point.
How does Telefonica deal with that? Because you not only have the cell towers, you have the submarine cables, you have a lot of different things. Is this the preview of you guys? How do you see the world changing? Of course, you're going to be a major contributor with the advent of 5G and the fact that you'll be able to now put more direct connectivity to the cameras, and you'll be able to store a lot of beautiful things. But in a sense, you trying to defend the internal network and so on, is there any special considerations you're having, or how do
Yeah.
you view the problem?
Obviously, our physical assets, our infrastructure is key for us, and that's something we work very hard to secure. I would say that in our case, the main concern on the main area of focus is on how we contribute, because we are the pipe through which many of your devices are connected to the rest of the world. So we are a very, very key point really to provide additional secure capabilities, and that's something we work on very hard. Not just from an infrastructure point of view, but as you know, our strategy of the platforms by which we enhance the ability of the capabilities of the lower platforms like physical assets or IT or products and services with the fourth platform that really brings that vision, that holistic data view to all of it. So the point is that we are increasingly moving from just being an infrastructure provider, even though that's our core, it's still our main core business. But we go up in the ladder in order to be able that we can provide that visibility, and not just from a business point of view, with a full data visibility and management of that, but also using that on behalf of the security we want to provide to our customers.
Yeah, I can't help but ask Agustin. Cybersecurity is always reactive. The budgets are never enough.
Yeah.
You have companies that existed for a long time, and they look at EBITDA, and unless something bad happens, they will not do that. So how are you educating not only your internal team, your board, your owners, now that you sold part of it also to part of the business has also been market. So how do you think about budgets and what's going to have to happen so that the right resources, including capital, are going to be deployed in order to make sure that the businesses like yours are safe, and also the service you're delivering to your customers are going to be safe as well?
Okay, our case is different, might be different,
Okay.
because our core business is security. So we cannot afford to have a huge vulnerability to our clients, our customers, or our people. So in terms of budgeting, it's in a way easier than maybe other companies. It's true that also we have a cybersecurity unit, that not only provides service to ourselves, but also to other clients. It helps, unfortunately, that we have WannaCry, that we have vulnerability incidents that brings our auditors. It helps that to bring the budget a little bit higher, no? But in our case, since our business is security, so we cannot afford not investing in that.
Roman, in your case?
The press is helping a lot. Whenever Facebook gets hacked,
Yeah.
you have very good news for security investment because your board read the typical newspapers, so they get a picture, and it's very critical. I will give you a photo, a picture. I have core business applications that are to be accessed by people that is not directly managed by me, and I'm accepting authentication from OpenID connectors like Google, Facebook. So whenever you as a citizen get hacked, I have a problem.
Yeah.
So this is very easy to communicate to the board because they understand everything is connected to my risk. So citizen risk is Ferrovial's risk. So it's quite important for them. So I think good news. Every hack in the press is good news.
Now, for the audience, there are many cybersecurity entrepreneurs in the audience. How do you best engage with an emerging company? Because the established companies are not innovating, and they have products that perhaps do not solve the problem that you have. So maybe it's a question to each one of you to say, what advice do you have people in the audience in the way you would engage with early stage companies and providers? Start with you, Alejandro.
Okay, thanks for the question because I think it's key. We are lacking, even though we invest a lot of innovation and we develop our own innovative products, etc. But we are always lacking additional innovation. So the suggestion to you guys is very simple: do offer solutions, do not offer technology, do not get carried by the latest hype words, blockchain, artificial intelligence, etc. So get down, empathize with the people you are trying to sell something to, understand their problems. So try to do something which is try to offer a solution to a problem they have. Otherwise, they might be kind to you, listen to you. If you find a guy who is a techie who would like to try your product or whatever, might waste your time and his time. But if you really want to sell, do offer a solution. Do something which is embedded into a process, something which is really solving, simplifying the business of the guy in front of you, and try to understand and not sell technology, but sell a solution to a problem. I think that's the most difficult thing to do.
Also?
We actually do. We have innovation companies within the bank. Okay, we are also in investment.
Yeah, you have an investment team is outside there, right?
Not only in banking, research and development, but also in tech companies. Okay. In our case, we are driven by requirements. We define ourselves or still requirements. Okay, and once we have a clear idea on what we are looking, we are going to go to the market to find the solutions. Okay. Otherwise, I think we are facing the risk of fall in the commercial spiral, taking the fancy word from every software vendor or security vendor in the market, okay? And yeah, please engage with the customers. We are facing the risk. You are providing the solution. Please do engage in a smooth manner.
Roman?
The huge companies in Spain, they tend to be very conservative. So they don't go for the typical startup because it's too risky. I won't take a decision where I will introduce risk in my organization. So you have to convince me that going with your solution, and Alberto, Adolfo, and Alejandro, they said, don't sell me technology, sell me a solution. Convince me that I'm not assuming risk. This is very important for me and my company. But if you are not assuming risk, you are getting out of the market. So you have to be aware of what will happen in 6 months, 12 months, a year. So it's a complex balance to take a decision. Give a solution to my operative problems, but show me that maybe I'm in a mistake going for my operations.
Yeah, Prosegur also just launched your investment arm as well, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and some of it is in cybersecurity,
Yeah,
right?
so we realize that it's really important more and more to be very close to the startup community, very close to the innovation community. We are right. We launched that I think 1-2 years ago, and it's really bringing us a lot of value. And agree with them. The best thing is to understand what are the issues, not sell the product. And if they work close with us and understand the business, we can bring really a huge value to ourselves and to our customers.
Great. We're out of time. This has been a luxury to have all of you. You have massive international global corporations there. They're making their own way in the respective industries, but also your responsibility of trying to safeguard the assets, the information, the people is important. And many people talk about that the weakest link is the individual. And so I always talk about, after all these technologies, sophistication, AI, and everything else, I think we need to activate the human firewall. And by that I mean, if you activate the human firewall, it's training the individuals to know what to do and what not to do when they get an email, when they get something that seems very natural. But at the end, we need to get that human factor to be able to round out the security. Thank you very much for your participation. Really appreciate it. And they're going to be around for questions. Thanks again.
Thank you.